All right, everybody, we're going to have a good time today. My friends at Remax, Steve, Keith, how are you doing today?
Awesome.
Good.
Yeah. So thanks for jumping on this call here. It's been a while, right? Maybe about three years ago since we did that program. What was the name of that place, Steve?
Supercharged.
Supercharge. Big Cedar?
Big
Yep.
Cedar Lodge.
Yeah, yeah. And one of the things that I remember us doing was like during the session, I said, okay, everybody pull out your phones, download this app, type in this code, right? And then everybody saw one another Brady Bunch style, up on the projection screen. And I want to know, like, what was y'all's first impression of that?
Crazy stuff. Nobody ought to do that.
What?
My mind was blown. Yeah, it was pretty neat.
So now, right now we're in the mix of it, where this becomes where virtual becomes the primary. How are you guys responding to this?
Oh, we've had to full on embrace it. I mean, this is it for a good 2 months there. It was the primary, if not only, way that we were able to interact with a whole bunch of people, home inspectors, lenders, title companies, our clients, and it was a crash course in going virtual for sure.
Absolutely. And from my perspective, it has forced people into video. I mean,
Oh yeah,
if you're participating with Zoom, you're on video. So they've gotten over that fear or whatever resistance because they're doing it every day, which is what you got to do.
you know what has changed for me with the video is that pre-COVID phone calls have been replaced with the Zoom calls. That prior to COVID, I would have been making phone calls about whatever these issues are. They are all almost exclusively Zoom calls, and I don't know why the change, but it's there's just something better about seeing somebody's face and interacting with them as opposed to just hearing their voice and holding up a phone to your ear. That has been a huge change that I wouldn't have ever even thought of, that really phone calls would have been replaced in this way so quickly.
Absolutely. And you can see people's names with their faces. That's really important too, because when you're sitting with a big group of people and you're sitting there and you can read people's body language, you can call on somebody and say, "Hey, Debbie, why are you shaking your head now?"
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't know that I would have done that in a live, in person. This format just seems to be comfortable for everybody.
Yeah.
I mean, let's think about this as far as a customer's expectation, right? And a customer's had to, rely upon the same communication methods with the inspector or the appraiser, or whoever it might be in sort of the transaction, right? So like moving forward, do you think it's like feasible or realistic for a customer to make a decision on who they're going to hire based upon their ability to meet and have a meaningful conversation across different stages of the transaction?
I think they're already doing it. Like, I think that we've already gotten to that place.
Yeah, so like, are we just preaching to the choir? Like, if you're not doing this, you can't like function in business, or
You're for sure going to be missing out on a whole lot of business. I mean, there are people that now that this door has been opened, even if it may not be a necessity anymore, that it's got to be done this way for safety purposes. It can be done the way it was. I think that they have realized that this is a easier way, and maybe even a more convenient way for them. And the people that are refusing to adapt to that are going to miss out on a huge section of consumers that are just going to really demand that we be more flexible on how we communicate with people.
yeah, no, and I know, Keith, your brokerage has grown since we last met, right?
Oh yeah, 3 agents joined today. So,
so when you think about like onboarding all of your new agents, right? Typically, you would have to have meetings that are done face to face. Like, how many more of these meetings are you able to crank out? Because
oh my gosh,
that office type of dynamic where sometimes there's more distractions than there are conversations focused on productivity.
So on a about a monthly basis, we would do kind of onboarding training, making sure that everybody's kind of up to speed with what all we offer with tools and technology and training. And the biggest obstacle for us was always trying to schedule it around when we could have that big of a group, and what space they were going to be using, and which office. I have 4 offices. Which office we were going to physically be using. We try to rotate it through, and we're now having those weekly, and where we can interact with people in a it seems weird, but in a more intimate way, because the groups aren't as big, and it's much easier and simpler to have these weekly than what we were going through monthly. And we thought we were making it simple by doing it monthly before. It's just a hassle to get that many people coordinating, get their times, and logistically get them to a location and have that location reserved. You don't have any of that with when you're doing Zoom calls or video calls. There are things that we will never go back to how we were doing. Is there going to be a mixed blend of how we do things? Absolutely. But this has just really catapulted us into just more connection with our agents than we've ever had.
Yeah, so more participation, right? Whereas
Yep, absolutely.
Even somebody who might have been more distant or inaccessible in the past is now there's kind of like no excuses.
Absolutely. I mean, so we did forms training last week, and forms training is typically a very basic kind of training for newer agents. And we had probably at least 25% of the people on that Zoom call were experienced agents that were just trying to they wanted to brush up on some things. That's just some things that didn't happen before, right? Because it wasn't as convenient, and so they couldn't make it. They might have had an inspection or a closing, and they just couldn't drive to a physical location, attend that, and then drive to their closing or inspection or whatever they had to do, showing. But now they can hop on it real quick, get some knowledge and education, and then move on about their life.
Yeah, and even to be able to explain certain concepts, like let's say in a contract, right? How much easier is it to be able to share your screen other than trying to explain a paragraph over the phone? What's that difference like?
I mean, being able to pull it up and point to it, with your mouse, and walk them through, this is where you click, this is where you click, as before, as silly as it sounds. We've had Zoom for a long time. We just didn't utilize it like we should have, mainly because there wasn't as high of familiarity among so many people as there is now. But we were doing that over the phone. Okay, what do you see on your screen? Okay, up in the top left-hand corner, do you see, what does it say? Okay, click that. Okay, now what is it? Now what are your options? I mean,
painful.
I can't tell you how many times I've done that. I mean, as recently as probably February.
Yeah. Yeah, so you're able to actually decrease the length of your conversations for support, right? Probably get it right the first time.
Gosh.
And you get more people who are deeply involved in the day-to-day operations of their business. I don't know.
And record it, and then send it to somebody else that might have the same issue, right?
You mean you don't have to do it again?
Right?
It's interesting looking at information architecture, or the brain of your company, right? And the brain of your company is a series of conversations, and those conversations, if they were recorded and archived in a way that was meaningful, you're able to then access that conversation, not just with a search, but also with voice, right? How do I feel? Alexa, how do I fill out that contract? Boom. Yeah. Alexa, ask Remax Mid-States, how do I fill out that contract? Boom, you have the answer, and then you also have it sent the form to you by text message. These are some of the things that are possible. And I don't know if you're open to this. I think part of the reason why we're talking here today is because, you guys are doers, right?
Yeah,
You pick it up and
for
you run
sure.
with it, right? So, here's a question for you. Like, how are you showing up inside of these Zoom meetings right now? And how is that different from your competition?
Oh, I doubt it's different from my competition. What do you mean showing up? Like,
Well, like, okay, so for example, it's not to pick on you guys, but it's just like, this is just the reality
Oh,
of
go ahead. You know you're going to.
most people, right? And us high achievers don't ever want to be labeled as most people, right? So like if we want to stand out, right? Most of us, how we show up on our screen is through the square, which is the webcam, and really that
yep.
web is pointed behind us. We have an office behind us, right? It's our home office, or it's our work office, or might be just some random location where you might be, right? And so when you think about the possibilities of what you can put inside of this screen, I'm going to give you some examples, right, of like what that could potentially look like. Because guess what, right now, as I just kind of like, if we did the intro, right, if we started this over, we're just kind of like be right back, and then we had, let's say, maybe even went to the countdown, with a little bit of music. This is all happening inside of the webcam. This is not happening inside of screen share mode. And if you're trying to facilitate a conversation, right? You want to do it in your webcam, not in screen share, just because of the possibilities. So if you want to say, all right, everybody, we're going to get started today, right? And I don't know if that, like, once that thing pops, right? Now, what is this going to be? Is this going to be the introduction to your weekly broker meeting, right? Our weekly broker meeting is different from everybody else's. Maybe it's your recorded videos that you give to supplement the training for local resources, right? Maybe that's it. So what you can think about is creating different like scenes or different types of environments that you can get into that has your webcam position, that has your brand. You can see like the little logos and stuff in the name, like that becomes a brand, that becomes a template that you can adjust just based upon the point in the conversation, right? And we know that with these meetings, it's not just a matter of how many people get on, it's who's like actively engaged. So like maybe you have this type of thing where you're like saying, okay, everybody right now, I want you to type the answer to this question. Ready, set, go. And so now they're engaging, now they're actually doing something, not like most Zoom meetings, right? Like most Zoom meetings, everybody's sitting here like this.
Right.
Okay.
For 45 minutes, right? Or maybe they'll try to pretend smile to protect themselves from the agony, right?
Yeah. Or if it's a big group, like, if there's like 20 people on it, there's a lot of this.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that's remember from Big Cedar, there's your default look, right? Most people look in technology like,
Oh yeah, absolutely.
looking in the webcam like this,
Like mad at somebody.
they're angry, you ever see me in a meeting, and this becomes, because there's leave it up to somebody, right? Leave it up to somebody to take a screenshot, and that screenshot gets posted on social media, and all the influencer of the industry all look like this. That's just sorry. I couldn't help myself. But we think about like even for people who support your business, right? You want ways like in the minute, hey, we can't thank our title company, our mortgage lender, for really helping us allocate the resources needed to be able to fund this drive or movement or whatever it might be. So, and then also like for different types of, let's say there's something you want to come to, like a specific value proposition that you want to talk about during a recruiting meeting, right? With an agent. Somebody says, and people, even like with recruiting, what I love about Zoom is like, you don't have to ever worry about showing up in somebody's office and somebody says, well, hey, why are you here? Are you thinking about coming over? And that kind of like they might be worried about that. So that's why like these Zoom meetings for recruiting are so big. So think about what types of scenes or value propositions that you want to put in for different different types of formats. And even like think about this, right? So okay, we can probably even do like a little contest, you know, to say who can sell Remax the best, right?
Nice. Yeah.
Now here's the thing. Like if we went around the room and okay, Steve goes, you know, consider this contest to be a stream off, right?
Okay.
Like where it's kind of like the competition to see who can deliver the best type of like stream. The only deal is like one thing you want to avoid, especially when it's a group like this, is do not cross stream. Like I really can't help myself. Sorry. So okay. So whose camera view would better sell Remax right now?
Yours.
So when you think about this, this is one deal, right? What if we were talking about searching for homes? Let's say like, okay, yeah, that company, you know, they've got a really good search tool, and I agree. Like it's got something nice, but you know what's missing from theirs that we have is this, right?
Yeah.
So when you think about it, whether it's, you know, Remax mid states, right? As the franchisor, or it's your office,
Yep.
the franchisee, and then you have your agents that have these types of environments to then decide what type of broadcast is consistent with the branding guidelines and everything else. Right now you can get to a point where you create the standard that's then used by everybody, right? So I think a trend everybody saw, it's been around for years, is the Zoom virtual background, right? This takes it to a whole nother level in addition to just being able to fit this camera view right inside of it. And so
Yeah.
now me as the expert, right, supported by Remax, now I get to give my take, right? So this is what it's like in Southwest Missouri. This is what it's like in Northeast Arkansas. Like it's me with my message back behind the brand, you know, for this. And so you might even say like, or I might even say to you, or I might even say to whoever's doing this is, you know, tell me more, right? Like right now I'm in preacher mode, you know. Can't you understand what I'm saying? Like I'm in preacher mode. Now, once I've connected with you and you're like, Doug, this is really cool. Can you tell me a little bit more, right? You tell me a little bit more, then I push one button, and now I'm kind of in this teacher mode to be able to walk you through. Oh, okay, so you do want a 2-bedroom, 1 bath, or 2-bedroom, 2 bath. And then just kind of like go through this. And then when somebody says like, okay, like, was that helpful? Was that meaningful? Or, hey, you know what? If you have a question, you can type it in the participant chat and then we can kind of like move on. So you get to kind of like decide the flow of the conversation between preacher mode, between teacher mode, engagement mode, that's all branded inside of your webcam.
I love that.
And how much, I guess the question is, we don't see what you see. What kind of investment do you have to make to do that? I mean, what do you have in front of you that allows you to do that?
Well, the biggest investment you would have to make is in me, right? Because
well, of course,
it would help you get it right the first time.
Yeah, we assume that.
You know, you'd be first to market. Everybody would copy what you're doing. Like that's kind of, you know, but you know, realistically, when you look at a studio, you can have what they have at LLC, right? This magnificent studio that has, you know, all these bells and whistles, and I can't imagine what that investment was. Or something like this that's kind of like on the lower end, minus the computer, maybe like a max of $1,500, $2,000. And when I say that, like, I could probably invest in a little bit better for this or a little bit better for that. And just depending on what my priorities are, you know, as far as being able to engage, or how many different things of these things do I want to make available, or like, let's say it's even like the document camera, right? If I need to show something visual like that, like each one of these are an opportunity to really like create different ways of you being able to show up inside of this little deal.
Yeah.
And also when you think about it too, like it's not just the Zoom meeting, but you know, if you were going to create training resources, right? You know, how do you make your training resources available for people when they need them? Not that they have to like go search for. Like, how do you make it easy for them? So, you know, with that being said, I could take you on a little journey to discuss like how you can start to automate different communication, different communications that support a higher adoption of brokered services. You know, if you want, but I can kind of like give you an option. We can kind of like play in this space, or we get into kind of like the automation, even like natural language, maybe even Alexa stuff. I'll give you an opportunity to kind of, you know, shift this conversation, however, so that you get the most value, right? If I were working with you one on one, like what's something
So,
that you
so
would
tell
want?
me this, how many, so I'm seeing all kinds of possibilities here, especially dealing with training situations. Um, how many cameras are you working with?
Um, well, I have two right now. Actually,
Okay.
probably three. One
Does that
is
include the document camera?
that includes the document camera, right?
Okay.
I can have more set up. I could have this set up as full green screen if I wanted. I could put my green screen suit on, so all you see is my head. You know, like, I mean,
Yeah.
you can do a lot of crazy things. Um,
So we've invested in some green screens for our offices. And so I mean we've invested in some of and the proper lighting and everything. Obviously I'm not using it, but it's uh, I mean I think that there's a whole lot of people that are probably have already invested in some of this stuff already, right? They just need to know how to piece it together and use it.
Absolutely. That's
Yeah.
that, you know, that's what it was for me, right? So rewind last week, you know, I was delivering a presentation for the National Speakers Association, right? So the National Speakers Association is where professional speakers go to like learn and hone their craft, right? So I was just grateful to be able to be one of the people that was kind of giving back to my peers, right? And that with that regard. And so this whole thing was on voice assistants, not screen to screen selling. And so what ended up happening is I said, well, how do I up my game? So what I did is I just invested in some better lighting, some better sound equipment, a couple other gadgets that helped me quickly improve my time to task, right? Like when you think about when I went from here to this specific website, how long did it take for me to be able to do that?
Split second.
Now, how quickly would you be able to do that given your current work deal? You know, first, first, this is everybody, right, Keith? This is
Yeah.
everybody. So not just like, um, first I would have to go into screen share mode. Then I would have
Yeah.
to
Let me find the screen share button. Hold
Yeah,
on, guys. I got it.
I
Wait,
would
hold
want
on. Oh,
to. I would want to still
wait. Can you
picture
see?
and music.
Can you
for me.
see? Can you see my web browser? Okay. Okay. Now, yeah. Wait, you can't see it? Okay. Okay. I got it. Yeah. I had to give permission. Yeah.
times how many meetings?
Yeah,
Times how many days?
exactly.
Yeah.
Weeks, months, years? So, so yeah, and then also when you think about the visual or the website you want to be able to demonstrate, in addition to just being able to share your screen, how long would it take for you to have the right website open?
Oh, I mean, yeah. Like you know.
No, not long. I mean, as far as screen sharing, that part of it is, pushing the button, just being ready. But I think one of the magical things about this, and Doug, when you were talking, you made me think about this, is that if Keith is the one in front of his group presenting something, I don't care what he's presenting, if it's a video or if it's a form or whatever,
Yeah.
he's going to get credit for being the person that's providing the information.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that's what's magical about it. They're thinking, wow, where did you get this? Or how did you do this? But it's you delivering it. And I think that's what makes it so cool.
So the thing about like shortening the time for transition is all of those fumbles, while it's taking 15, 20, 30 seconds to transition into setting something up, that is an opportune time for your participant to be like, oh, well, while you're doing that, let me check my text messages real quick. And then you've lost them, right? Maybe for 5 minutes while they've just discovered a crisis that they didn't know about and they're having to deal with it. You know,
So
had they didn't have that ability to take that pause, they would have still been engaged with you and their crisis could have waited until after you were finished.
But I would even add something to that, Keith, is that there's people that fly giant airplanes that have a lot more in front of them than what we have. And so
Right.
now I've got Facebook Live going right in front of this screen. I can look at that and I can interact with this too. I think
Yeah.
that's what people love about the format is that they can still, you hope they don't walk out of the room and you lose them completely, but they can do something else and work with you.
For sure. Yeah, for sure.
Well, one of the things I thought might be useful for you to see are different tools used in different capacities.
Okay.
You want me to take you on a little ride here?
Sure.
So I think about creating like videos, right? Are you all familiar with Loom?
No.
As of 2 days ago, yes.
This will change your life, right? So do you use Google Chrome?
I do.
Cool. So I'm going to actually send this link in the participant chat so I can save you from having to retype it or having to research it. So that way you click on it, you'll be able to add to your browser. But here's what I'm actually going to like demo Loom in real time here. And so guess how much it costs for Loom?
How much? Is it free?
Free. Yeah, it's free.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
You like free, say free. Woo,
Right.
So then let's pretend I'm on this website. Or let's say it's a form, right? It's a form that's already pulled up inside of your transaction management. When you click this button to click start recording, you're already kind of plugged in. Now you'll see this is the green screen of me of the camera that I already have turned on. I could turn this to a different likes where it's just screen only and it has my logo. But I'm just going to do screen and cam for the sake of this. So once I click start recording, just like a screen share, 3, 2, 1, action. I'm already in it. So, hey, everybody, it's Doug with XYZ Realty. And today I'm just going to show you this awesome website if you haven't seen, but here's where the gift is. When you scroll all the way down and then you click on become an agent, then you'll see where the power is. Okay, everybody, have a nice day. So then you click the same button that started it to stop it, pulls in the SEO from the webpage that's already been created. And then when you download this, you can download this sucker, right, to your computer to do some advanced editing if you want, or this little link. So I'm going to copy this link and then I'm going to paste it to participant chat inside of Zoom. So now I've just shared with you a video of what I just created fast. Like we look at like time to task productivity.
Wow.
When you think about, okay,
Yes.
so here, so do you see where like, okay, this is the creation of the video, right? So what you're going to want to do is like start to organize all of your videos in a meaningful way so that you have other people working on it. So the future of work, like if you were going to rewind 10 years ago, you would have Microsoft Excel, right? You'd have Dropbox and you have email as ways of being able to collaborate, right?
Yep.
Now this solution called Airtable, like that's one to write down. Airtable allows you to create and organize your content for, many different ways. So if this is the video name, like think about what are the top 100 videos that you're going to create, right? Video for each neighborhood, video for each form, video for each whatever, right?
Yeah.
Then you have the category. So this would be the category, and you could organize it by like training video, organize it by whatever. And then so then you have here's where Airtable comes in super handy. Is now there's an actual image or a file that's associated with this. So this is where it blends in Microsoft Excel and Dropbox into one deal, right? And if you look at the top here, this is what's super cool. Like everything's organized. You never have to, like, as far as being the project manager or the owner supervising this, right? Everything's all in one place. So these are the videos. These are the staff members with all their contact information. The reason why you're seeing so much of this filled in already, because this is set up as a template. So if I just showed you some templates here, you'd be like, holy cow, I don't have to reinvent the wheel. But when you look at, when I go back to where we were here with this, this digital video production, and I go back to video, like you would even have a column for video and you would upload the video that you just downloaded from Loom, right?
Okay.
So here's another tool that'll help you to massively create content. And this is the one actually I developed this for myself because I was doing it so many times. I was just like, well, I'm not going to have another company do this. I'm just going to have this done. So what this does is, I'll show you after I log in, is this will convert your video files into audio files and your audio files into transcripts.
Nice.
Right. So see where it says video here?
Yep.
So once I upload the video through the tool, I have my different outputs. SRT, that's the subtitles for social media videos. You can edit right inside of here. So I sent that in the participant chat for you to look at too. So all of these different file formats now can be put into, you know, a project management that makes stuff easily accessible, right? So I'll do one. I'll do. Is this? So give me like a yay or nay on if this is helpful.
It is for sure.
Okay, cool. So I'm gonna do one more. Do one more with you here. This is Twilio. Right. This is where you can create the same, if not better, stuff than Booge. Can I say that? I don't know. This is what all the companies are using to program the technology, right? Like all your competitors that are like heavy in the programming, this is what they're using to program SMS responses,
Okay.
voice interactive phone numbers, right? So if I click on here, buy a phone number, this is inside of Twilio. What's your zip code?
501.
Or not zip code? Yeah, sorry.
Area code. I know what you meant.
So now it's going to look for phone numbers. They're $1 a month, right?
Wow.
For you to send a text message, guess how much it is? It's less than a penny for each one.
Oh, wow.
So when you think about like automation, somebody signs in for an open house, like, do they get a text message response? If not, then you can figure out a way to be able to automate this stuff. So I'll show you inside in Studio Flow is inside of Twilio. This is where you don't have to be a programmer to be able to do this stuff. So I'll just show you here. This is an example of one chat bot. So when an incoming text messages comes in, there's this little welcome message, right? It says, hello, thanks for being a part of Influence 2020. We have 3 questions for you. Ready? Okay, here's number 1. Which session has been the most valuable? Okay, so that's an open-ended question, right?
Yep.
This could be feedback for an open house.
Yeah.
What did you like about this house the most? And please give me specific detail. And somebody might respond back, well, I hated the kitchen sink and I wasn't able to flush the toilet. It doesn't matter what the answer is. What matters is you gave an open-ended way of being able to collect that response using a text message, and then boom, you've got the next one.
Yep.
This acknowledges the answer, right? Thanks for sharing that. We can't wait to see your success. Question number 2, right? So now we're collecting open-ended responses in the way that's meaningful, that like over time, right? Think about this. If somebody sends a text message in, they're using their mobile phone number.
Yep.
Right? Now you can have that as a lead follow-up source to be able to communicate with them. Right now, there are, I think you're Keith, you're attorney by trade, right?
Yep.
So, let the buyer beware. You want to make sure that there's like a terms of use or privacy, like that you have some sort of like something that would limit your liability. But at the same time, like people are giving you open-ended answers that like like tomorrow, if you talk to them over the phone, you would have the responses there from the feedback that they had given, right? So, this is like, as you think of other examples of being able to do this, this would be follow up to agent training, right?
Absolutely.
This would be, ways of being able to automate the delivery of, let's say, real estate forms, right? So if you were going to say, send a text message, right? Like, give me the buyer agency agreement by text message. Text SMS can now understand natural language. And so I'll take you to one more. This will be kind of like this. If this hasn't, so this is for, keep in mind, this is for SMS and phone too, right? So if somebody calls in, you can have these pre-recorded as MP3 files.
Yeah. That's your voice.
Yeah. It could be exactly, all you have to do is record the voice based upon the script that you wrote. Or what's inside of these settings is text to speech, that it will just speak whatever text that you wrote. Obviously, pre-recorded MP3 files are better, right? But it all depends on how magical you want to make this thing in the end.
Yeah.
So for like, okay. Well, I was going to take you to this one. This one's called Autopilot. How many questions do you get per day?
Per day?
Many.
Yeah. I mean, several dozen at least.
I think you're being 50?
Probably.
Okay. How many emails do you get per day that you need to respond to?
That I need to, I get probably 800 emails a day that are, I'm going to say semi-legitimate. I probably need to respond to probably 40 or 50 of them.
Okay, cool. All right. And sometimes you might need to respond to something, but people didn't have the opportunity to be able to ask you, so you never were able to answer the question. Is that fair enough?
Yeah. Fair.
You're not available. You only have so many hours a day.
Right. Yep.
You can't multiply yourself until you learn how to automate yourself. So
for sure.
So using this thing called Autopilot
mm-hmm.
is a way that you can programmatically create automated responses for multiple channels. So I want you to see this here. So before we go into anything, these are the channels, right? So you have automated sequence for somebody talking over the phone. You have an automated sequence through SMS. You have an automated sequence for online chat. You have an automated sequence for asking something on Amazon Alexa, Google Assistant, WhatsApp, Facebook Messenger, and then Slack if you need it. Now, I would imagine that probably 3 of these might come into play immediately. Facebook Instant Messenger if you have a page, right?
Yeah.
Or voice or SMS.
Yeah.
Those would probably be the easiest you'd be able to kind of like dial in. So using this, I'm just going to show you these things. So this was created like FAQ style. So when somebody says to over the phone, or they say by SMS, or they say to Alexa, this is what somebody would say to it, right? Somebody would say, well, I want to buy a smart home camera system. Or someone might say, I want to buy a smart camera. This is that natural language understanding people have to identify early on. Like this is an exercise you would do so that you anticipate the language that then's coming in to then give a programmatic response. And so the programmatic response says, order a smart camera here at this website, right? So when you think about, if you were to rewind over, let's say, the course of a week, right? From the frequently asked questions that you have to answer, or the frequently asked questions that your agents would have to answer on behalf of the brand that you've established and the guidelines with the policies and procedures, everything else, you've created a uniform response to each one of these frequently asked questions in a meaningful way. And it's also that you can ask anytime and you would get the precise answer with an option to be able to talk to a live person.
For sure. Yeah. I mean, this is, I'm thinking of so many things that are just, I get asked over and over again that have very simple answers. What's our HUD, NAID number? I've got a question about my monthly invoice. Can you help me with that? Like, it could be response, hey, Josh can help you with that. Here's his number. Or here's what the NAID number is. Here's what our EIN number is. It's just, there's so many just very simple responses that are just the same over and over again that could take care of a whole lot of people.
Well, and you can group these, right, into prioritized. So, what people say, what's the top 10 frequently asked questions? That's because people want to minimize the number of times they have to answer that same question, right?
Yeah.
That's the reason why we have these. Well, now we have a programmatic way that's super cheap, right? When we mean super cheap, this is like built for startups. That's the reason why, like, if or when this thing ever takes off and gets a high adoption rate, you're not breaking the bank on the early side and not on the end too, because the pricing is done at scale.
Yeah.
All it depends on what's the creative experience that you want to create inside of this medium, so that it's meaningful, and that everybody kind of wins. It doesn't replace what you do; it complements what you do.
For sure, yeah.
Think about how much time. I don't know, Steve. Like, if we were to save your average broker, I don't know how many hours per week. What's the contribution back to their bottom line, right? I don't know, that's going to fluctuate depending on market or ability to adapt and other situations. But like in the end, like, I mean,
there's even more than that. It is being able to retain that agent that is getting the information and responses back almost immediately for things that they're working on right then. Like that means something to them, as opposed to possibly having to wait 2 or 3 hours to get a response from me that they might get frustrated with. It, I'm in a meeting and it's taking me that long to respond to them. And that information could have been readily given to them in an automated style. I mean, just saving one agent. So just saving one agent from being unhappy and leaving, or being due to frustration, would pay for all of this for at least a year, maybe more.
So Doug, you're going to have to convince us old guys, though, how it doesn't take you down some road, like when you call the utility company that says press 1 for, press 2 for, and you got to go through all that.
Yeah. No, you're right. So this is like, okay, when you have a website made, right, you follow web design principles, right? And the better website designer is going to understand wireframing. They're going to understand prototyping. They're going to understand how all the pieces put together on how to build the best website, right? So when we transfer over to something that's with automation with regards to automated SMS, automated Facebook Instant Messenger, it's kind of like, I don't know, I'm kind of lost my train of thought here.
Well, I've got a thought, because that's the opening for it. You should have a time where somebody says, you've just left my comfort zone. And like when you start talking about coding and things,
yeah.
he gets that because he's been involved with that in the past. But man, you lose a lot of your audience when you start talking about the back end of some of these systems, because it's like, that's why we hire guys like you, because we don't, we have no background in that and a way of knowing that.
Well, there's resources on conversational design, right? Because you're having a conversation with an SMS, you're having a conversation that's automated over the phone, you're having a conversation with Facebook that's automated. You have to understand what the proper, how to design a proper response, how to design a prompt, right? What prompt is kind of like asking for somebody to do a call to action, and do it in a way that a customer's not gonna like say, well, this doesn't work, right? And
Right.
so, does your website, is it perfect the first time? No. Does it get better the more people use it and more you start to get feedback? And then you start to say with a website, well, I see you over here. It can do this? Can it do the same for me? And then you start to have different types of conversations on how a conversational chat bot would evolve. You have to start somewhere, I think.
Yeah.
And so
I visualize this as like, you say you're at BOC or something, you got a room full of 1,000 people in front of you. When you start talking about Zoom first and you say, are you using it, the best way you can, all 1,000 people are paying attention. And then as the conversation starts to narrow and it gets down to actually what we're talking about right now, you got a very finite group of people that get it, that are going to get how to take that to the next level.
Mm-hmm.
Well, sure. And this is the conversation we'll have 5 years from now. This will be the same conversation.
You're right.
Right. It's not like sorry you didn't get this the first time. I think what this is you have to be open to the possibility.
I'm glad you're saying that, not me.
You have to be open to the possibility, right? You have to be comfortable. Okay, how's this, right? You have to be comfortable in your own skin that you don't know all of the answers.
Yeah.
Right? We're talking because you guys are students of this business. You will do two things probably by the end of next week, just based upon this. In some sort of capacity, right? Or do some sort of research that helps.
Sure. Yep.
That's why I enjoy talking to you. Actually put it to use.
Well, and the other factor that you bring to the table, Doug, is the entertainment factor. I like to learn, but I also like to be entertained. And you have a way of inserting humor into some of your stuff, which is kind of important. So
I think agents would eat this up. Not all of them. There's going to be a good group of them, though, that they're interested in this stuff. They're interested in taking things to another level, setting themselves apart, and becoming more efficient with things. And there are agents willing to invest the time and the dollars to do it.
especially teams.
Especially what?
Teams have
Oh my gosh
on them that do nothing but think about things like this.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep, absolutely.
And so also to kind of like to help you plant some seeds with this type of work, because it's custom, right? This is custom. You can create your own custom environment, right? You can create your own custom chatbot or whatever it might be, or own custom mobile app. Well, the good news is once you create one, it becomes a model for many, right? So let's pretend here that we created the perfect chat bot that responds to open house inquiries, right? Let's just say that. So that's the one that we've nailed the best. Well, guess what? Inside of one of these little tools, there's an export function to then create the template that then can be imported in anyone's environment who participates in that program, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, even if let's say, Steve, we created some sort of mastermind group with the top brokers who wanted to buy into something like this, like we have the opportunity to collectively create templates that represent the best practices for everybody else, and also reinforce the brand values. That's kind of this way. There's not just one that kind of stands out. This would be the best representation of the community that's facilitated inside of a process.
Mm-hmm.
That's the big picture. That's just not like you know, a one deal, right? That's like this impacts thousands, right?
So how's somebody get a hold of you, Doug?
Well, if anybody is right now is through the Facebook page is listening, there's a message button that you can click to follow up with me that way. You know, my phone number, like if you want to write this down, is 314-496-5973. Now that's not the automated phone number, that's direct to me. So like, sorry to burst your bubble. Like,
No, I want that.
I want to talk to Doug. I don't want a 5-minute answer, right? I just want the automated getting me what I need to know. Get back to me. Right. And you know what the good news is, if you can't make people laugh, there's a button for that. Right?
You can do your own, yeah.
There's a button for that. We could do this for 5 minutes and just sit here and laugh together.
But Doug, I appreciate you taking the time to do this. This has been pretty amazing. I have my mind is a little blown right now, thinking about all the possibilities and how this can be implemented, just to help grow and improve things that I'm always this kind of stuff is always fascinating to me. The last presentation I saw that you did, I came back immediately, started doing some of the things that I saw you do, just because I thought it was fascinating, and the agents just love it as well. I mean, I think that they would just eat this up.
Do you remember the Alexa skill? So the Y Remax Alexa skill was the very first one that I made. That one in the realtor party, right? That got shut down. But a big cedar, right? Like I was thinking, okay, Zoom. Okay, this was what, 2017. I was like, okay, people have Zoom, right? Zoom's not new. People have Zoom. I want to bring something special, right? Something super special to Remax Mid States they'd never seen before. So that's when I brought Alexa with me, right? And so, you ask why join Remax or whatever, and you get the answer. Now, do you want to see what we can do now with this thing? So,
yeah.
So not only do we have like talking text, like text message, and we have talk to over the phone, but now we can talk to our TVs. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
No. What do you mean? Like through what?
So you can talk to your TV when there's an Alexa skill that's been created that represents a synthetic intellect or your mind organized in conversations that's truly beneficial to people. Like once you've been able to kind of like architect that out, and not website design, but you have that done in voice design, now you can now you can set up an Alexa skill that acts as kind of the facilitator of a specific outcome. So I can show you an example of, if you want to see it.
Okay.
I'll pull up the doc. This is my little document scanner. So anytime I do something with this is the Echo Show device, right?
Yep.
So at least with my brand, I wanted to keep it kind of the same with this, with what I'm doing. It's voice marketing, right? So Alexa, open voice marketing.
Welcome to Unofficial Voice Marketing for Business, created by Doug Tree. Would you like to play the podcast or start the course?
Start the course.
Would you like to continue video from where you left off?
No.
Welcome to this course. You are in for a one-of-a-kind experience on how to use Amazon Alexa for business.
This is a voice-activated course.
And personal productivity. You can watch videos on Echo
No
Show
fingers.
devices.
I could touch
Wow.
it, but no fingers needed.
TV stick devices with screens, and listen to modules on other Echo devices.
Get started using Amazon Alexa.
Congratulations on getting set up using Amazon Alexa. Chances are you already
this is
have
the
an
module,
Echo-enabled device
right?
and not sure what more you can do with it.
And then so you have the assignment sent to you by text message, or
tell me to play the module.
Play the video.
Go to the next one.
Wow.
Send you the assignment.
Play video.
Hey everybody, it's Doug DeVitri with Voice Marketing for Business, and today I'm going to give you a very...
That's pretty neat.
So when you think about like access to information, now is like voice activated, right? Through the different types of content that we have available. So you could have this set up where, you know, Alexa, start my office meeting. And then whether it's the latest market stats or it's the latest the training of the month that you want to have facilitated by Alexa. Each of these, like, you know how much these devices are too, right? They're not that much.
No. Yeah,
Like,
we've got like 5 of them.
Yeah. Oh, do you have the TV one?
The show, yeah.
Okay, yeah. So if you go to Alexa skills, search for Alexa skills, or I can send this to you. But this is the link to be able to try it out. So you can kind of like, so there's a public. So I mean, you can have, like, when you make these things, they can be public or they can be private. This is meant to be public. But if I wanted to have this only for specific members or only for specific users,
yeah,
then I can only give people that have the right authorization to access this type of content.
Yeah. I like that.
You know, Doug, trainers should be all over this. They should be calling you. Trainers for anything.
For sure.
Yeah. Yeah, these ideas will set the trends for everybody else. It's just a matter of who can kind of take it, right, and make it their own, make an impact, and then establish themselves as the leader in their marketplace.
Yep.
Yeah. I know Keith's got to go, and that's another thing about Zoom is I know it because he stood up.
Well, my back was hurting, but I do have to go to my next appointment. But this has been super enlightening. This is
Good.
This is really cool stuff.
Cool.
Well, this is recorded. This is on the Facebook page. If you want to share it with anybody else you think might benefit from it, you know, you have my permission to do that.
Awesome. Okay, definitely.
All right.
Thanks, Doug. You're awesome.
Okay, I appreciate y'all.
All right.
Bye.
You guys have a great day.
You too.
All right, take care.